Hello and welcome to another episode of Speed Mentorship. My name is Matt Mackley, your host. Well guys, welcome to another episode of Speed Mentorship. I'm so excited for today's guest, Bill Trout. He's truly a remarkable leader and an absolute legend in the nonprofit space. I have learned so much from this guy and just the way that he looks at life. And one of the things I love most about him is the heart that he has for other people and his ability to problem solve some of life's most complex and challenging problems and bring kind of solutions and really partner with other individuals to bring solutions all over the world. So really excited for you to learn about what makes Bill such a remarkable human being in today's episode. And so without further ado, let's go ahead and dive in. Really excited for today's guest, Bill Trout. We got all kinds of fun questions for him today. So first question today is just a little bit about your background and who you are.
All right. I'm Bill Trout. I grew up in the Dayton, Ohio area, and I came up to the Toledo area to go to college. I went to Bowling Green State University, got an accounting degree, international business degree. While I was here, my parents moved away to Arkansas, so I didn't have a home to go to. So after college, looked around for a job here. I got to work for, right out of school, Arthur Anderson and Company in the public accounting realm. And from there, I went to work for one of our clients and ran a manufacturing company for 15 years. And then I got the opportunity to come on staff at Cedar Creek and head up their international missions. And it was a life-changing kind of adventure for me to do that, and wouldn't change it for a thing. But got to work for a great organization at Cedar Creek Church. And from there, I just retired.
Congratulations!
New part of the adventure.
Totally. And how long were you at Cedar Creek for?
I was there for 24 years, on staff for 18 of those.
Okay. And tell us more a little bit about your role at Cedar Creek and what you were in charge of.
Well, I came on originally to head up the international missions. It was a passion for mine. My background and experience evolved into me taking over the business operations of the church when there were some changes. We had very competent people doing it, but when they moved on, I stepped in and took over that role. And then we went through the transition from our founding and lead pastor, Lee Powell, to Ben Snyder, who's doing a great job. Was on board for that transition period, and then through the pandemic. During the pandemic, with all the different things going on, my first love was international missions, and had a great person to turn over the business operations to. Did that, continued on for the international missions part for another year or two until my retirement.
Awesome. And tell us a little bit about just some of the programs that you helped start and that you were in charge of in the role that you were in.
There were two main things that I was mainly responsible for: the international missions. I was responsible, my job description was to be the ambassador of Cedar Creek to our Latin American partners. And it was as simple as that. And I got to work with a great organization called Great Commission of Latin America. They're a church planting organization there. They're still planting new churches, but it's around 35 churches spread out over about 12, 15 countries now in Central America, now hitting some of the Spanish-speaking countries in Europe, and here in the United States as well. And so we did church consulting and helped them plant churches, but also for churches that were interested in doing in their local outreach. We specifically got involved in helping them with setting up things such as medical clinics, after-school programs, home building projects within the local outreach arm of those local churches in Central America. We would come alongside with funding, mission teams, and whatever resources we could bring to help that go further faster.
So you were involved with GCLA, CDI, Casa de Esperanza. I mean, there's all kinds of different programs and projects that you were responsible for. Did you help start any of these, or you mostly came alongside and worked with some of these programs?
I was in a fortunate position that I was relationally connected to a lot of the churches and their leaders, and so I would see some of these programs in their infancy.
Yeah.
And then with resources, organizational assistance, just different resources we could come along, we helped some of those grow probably faster than they otherwise would have. So very instrumental maybe in helping them to grow. All the ideas originated there. I'm more of an organizer than the inventor.
Yeah.
And so I like to help things thrive. I like to bring resources to them. I like to see them take off and reach their full potential. That's probably my greater area of strength than it is being creative with new ideas.
Sure.
And so I had the opportunity to do that with the after-school program. It started with one church with 12 or 15 kids. At one church, it's grown to about 15 different churches now hosting these after-school programs. And before the pandemic, there's about 650 students, kids that were sponsored in these programs. After the pandemic lost some, it's in the neighborhood of 450 now.
Wow.
And reloading and rebuilding.
Yeah. So what's some of the most challenging or difficult things trying to help come alongside some of these programs to get them started and to grow and have a bigger impact?
It's a different culture, different leadership structures, different leadership ideas. You have to learn to adapt. In these things, we're there to serve. And so you're there to support and help. You have to understand current realities. When you're doing and sponsoring kids coming from the poorest neighborhoods, you're dealing with parents that might be involved in activities that we may not consider to be the most wholesome, ways they have to support their family. Some things might be involved in the drug trade. You might have mothers that are prostitutes. It is a very difficult, so you're dealing with a lot of things that go on with those things with kids. Poor communities are not alone in this, but it's more prevalent and visible. You see some of the abuse that comes from families that are struggling, the tensions that come with all those different things. And so there's some challenges that come with that. Not that we don't face some of those here in the United States, but when you're dealing with those kind of barriers and you have a lack of governmental support to support in correcting some of those, you can be stepping out there pretty good when you're trying to solve some of those problems.
Yeah. So why is what you are doing so important in some of these areas?
For me, the biggest thing we're trying to do is what you're really trying to do is break a cycle of generational poverty. I'm a business background, my financial background. I believe economics can solve a lot of the earthly problems. I believe the church can bring the other element to bring that together. And so for a lot of people, you grow up in a home, parents are doing well. Some of these things are natural to you. You see them lived out day to day. Many people in our country and other parts of the world, even less so, you do not know what opportunities are available to you as an individual and a person. Education is the key to unlocking your potential to take advantage of opportunities, and I think that is probably the most important key step to get started. So getting kids to get a good education and the opportunity to understand what opportunities exist for them, I think, is the primary first step. Creating those opportunities is another. And in general, in our country, opportunities are everywhere. You have to sometimes lead people to be able to see them. That's an issue. In developing countries, those opportunities are a lot harder to come by. And so once you prepare for somebody to take advantage of an opportunity, sometimes you may have to create those opportunities too. And that creates its own challenges, but that's the couple phases that go with that.
Well, I mean, we went on a mission trip together recently, and to me, it was really just incredible to see the impact that just ordinary, everyday people are having in communities, all across Latin America. But in Costa Rica, where we were at, it was incredible to see the impact on, the kids and on the mothers, and even on like some of the entrepreneurs that they were having in some of these areas. Tell us a little bit about the entrepreneurship program that you guys have started and are still kind of developing.
Education is a key to get you started, but creating opportunities, there are some people that are wired, born with the curiosity and the ability to take on a challenge of wanting to start a business. And but having the desire to do it, sometimes you just need somebody to kind of guide you in a structured step. Starting a business, there's a lot of pieces that go with it. Even a simple business, you have to understand certain things. How do you get your money to get started? How do you manage money? Simple things, if you're going to sell a product, How do you do some simple marketing? How do you create processes to make sure that your product is consistently of the same quality so that customers know what to expect when they come back to you? So there's a lot of work that goes into that. So there's training that you want to do with an entrepreneur. You want to set them down and walk them through your basic business 101, how to get something started, how to make it somewhat sustainable at that level. It's going to be dependent upon them as the entrepreneur in a small business to get started. But and then you work with them and you watch them. Some of them can take another step where they might have an employee or two. And you start to see how things grow. And so each case is kind of case by case right now. But it's exciting to come alongside of people with the energy and the desire to create a better life for them and others in their community by starting their own business.
And you even have experience starting your own business in Latin America.
We've talked about wanting to create opportunities. And so I had a wonderful partner and I that we invested some money and we started a restaurant. We thought the economic conditions and everything in Costa Rica and Central America was that a restaurant was probably a best chance of a business that we could operate. You could duplicate it if it was successful. And so we wanted to launch that to employ people. You bring kids in an after-school program and you release them at 18. Life's most difficult decisions are starting at 18. Our goal was if we could hire some of the kids from these after-school programs and you would have influence in their life from the time they were 18 to maybe 26 because you're paying them full-time, you're getting them ready. You can continue to train them and help them to make decisions about careers. 18-year-olds sometimes are not ready for that. When is it time to get married? When is it time to have kids? What's your marriage going to look like? How are you going to manage your money? Those things are real life decisions that typically become real to people after the age of 18. And so we wanted to work with them, continue to have influence in their lives and just do some of the life development training and be mentors in that field. And so starting a business was a way that we could do that and create opportunities at the same time. That's a tough road to go, though.
Yeah. Not to mention, though, the food that you guys make, too, at Duke's is pretty phenomenal.
We brought the first organized Texas barbecue restaurant to Central America. And we've opened up 2 of them, a couple sales sites. We've recently had to step back from some of those. And it's been reorganized and relaunching in a different phase. But the opportunities still exist, and we still believe in that. We're going to continue to look for ways that we can create jobs and opportunities because we believe that influence is just, it's big in people's lives.
Okay, so tell me, what's your favorite part about doing this kind of work?
It's not what I expected. It's the relationships. I get to work with the local people. As I said, everything's done through the local churches and their affiliated nonprofits that they work with. And it's the relationship with the people on the ground actually doing the work. It's fun to advise people that are already passionate in it. And so you get to really meet some really incredible people. You see how hard they're working to make a difference in their own local communities. They're not waiting on people from the outside to do that. I don't know what I expected, but I guess that wasn't it, out of my own ignorance or just lack of knowing. And my experience over the last 25 years of doing that is there are some really sharp, incredibly gifted people, dedicated, passionate, trying to make a difference in their community. Those relationships have shaped my life in tremendous ways. And so that's probably what I've gotten the most enjoyment out of. But watching someone go through the after-school program, turn that into a college education and get a job opportunity making 5 to 10 times more than their parents had ever dreamed of making due to the education opportunities and unlocking those opportunities for them, that is rewarding. When you get educated and you have that opportunity and you're making that level of an income more than your parents, very seldom does somebody go back. The cycle of generational poverty has changed for that family.
Wow.
And that's kind of what we got into it for, and it takes 12 years to run somebody from kindergarten through high school and into college, and when you start seeing the ones that have been in the program that long, and you're seeing a high percentage of them just have a much higher potential than they would have had otherwise, it is rewarding. It makes the tears, the struggles, the blood, the sweat, and the tears all kind of come together, and you're like, it's worth it. And so that's probably the most rewarding thing. Boy, do you get to meet some just phenomenal people.
Wow. And like you said, not just the duration of these programs, but even starting something in general takes a lot of work, a lot of effort. But I mean, you're not in it for a couple months or for a year even, you're in it for the long haul. So what kind of advice do you have for people that are looking to do something similar and have a great impact on people, but to make the program sustainable? How do you make something like this sustainable?
First of all, you have to set realistic expectations. You're not going to make real change overnight. Real change generally takes generations. You've got to change mindsets and thinking a little bit. And you've got to do a lot of hard work to open the doors for opportunities. That is not easy work. Second of all, even if you're really passionate about it for 15, 20, 25 years and you're starting to see the change, you can't do it on your own. You have to create something that's sustainable, that's going to be self-sufficient, that outlives you. That's challenging, but that means you got to continue to work with younger folks that have that passion. You have to find resources that are going to outlive you. They can't just be based upon your relationship or your credibility with people. Your organization has to develop that. They have to perform to where people will trust and want to continue to provide resources. And so it's really that trick about sustainability is probably the thing that drives me the most now at my stage of life. And trying to put younger leadership in place, another generation such as you, of what you've done here, that is really critical. And, you get a lot of people with passion, but maybe not
the chops or whatever.
The chops to do it, and also the discipline to do it. There's a lot more fun things you can do that seem fun at the time. And there's always time for that too. But it's hard and it's serious work. We have a blast doing it, but when you're trying to make serious change like that, there's heartache that comes with it. And so preparing people for that long-term journey and being in that and knowing that it's well worth it when you can make it happen.
So you're retired now, and you're retired now at least from the church. Where do you see the future of some of these programs going, and where do you see your future kind of in partnership with some of these programs? How are you going to continue to partner with these guys and help them out?
Yeah, there's a couple pieces to that. Being able to stay connected with the international partners. I mentioned that the relationships were some of the most valuable things in my life personally. And because of that, it's not something you retire from and walk away from. You continue to work with that. And I am going to be engaged a lot in my retirement in that and trying to continue to make it sustainable, helping it kind of just recover its footing maybe after the pandemic, which was difficult. Mission teams couldn't come down. There was a lot of travel back and forth. There's just a lot of things going on in the pandemic. We're mostly past that, and it's time to reignite some of the momentum that we had before that. And so that's really important for me, continuing to with the relationships I have with the pastors of the local churches and with the local outreach components of that. One of the beautiful things is before I retired, and actually right before the pandemic, I got to reconnect with an old friend here locally that was taking that similar type of a model and doing it right here in Toledo. And it was a connection I'd had before. We reconnected, and they are doing just a beautiful thing right here in the city. It's the Art Tatum Zone with Calvin and Christine Sweeney. And I've just had the pleasure the last 3 to 4 years, even before I retired in my job at the church. I was given a lot of freedom my last couple of years, which was a nice thing. And I was able to focus and work with them more. And they are doing the same thing. You can community development, you call it a lot of things. For me, it is still breaking the generational cycle of poverty. And they're very, very gifted in education and other things. And being able to work with them to start to put those same ideas into place here locally in our inner city for anybody in the city that's struggling to break out of some of those cycles. And so I'm getting the opportunity to do the same things here locally, and that has been a real blessing.
That is really cool. That is super cool. Life principles? Top life principles that you live by? That have served you well?
I think some things that have served me well is, I like you, I lost my dad at too young of an age. And I was 28 when my father passed away. I don't know exactly how old you were, Matt, but
26.
Yeah. And it impacts you. And you realize life isn't forever. I don't know what everybody's relationship with their father was, but mine was, I had the greatest father that ever lived. And so I lost my father, I lost my coach, a mentor, developing into a friend at that stage of my life, my protector, my hero. I lost all of that. And so the impact of that in one moment is you realize that life doesn't go on forever. And I realized that if you want to make an impact on something, start today. And so I've gone after what I've wanted. And I mean, when I left running a manufacturing company, life was pretty comfortable financially, and the opportunity for a new opportunity was right there, was offered. It was at that time I was considering going into the ministry, and but if I put this off, when am I going to get to do it? And I took that time, and I made that jump, and I don't regret it for an instant. It really was a great part of my life. And so recognizing the moments that you can't put everything off forever. I'm big in finance. That goes with investments. Time is your friend when you have it. Time is not your friend when you don't have it.
Yeah.
That's one of the biggest principles in investing. It's time. And so I want to take advantage of the time that I have. And money will never buy you more time, but it can certainly free you up to how you're going to spend the time you do have. And so I really try to live with the fact that I want my time to do things that I feel are important to me and for my family as much as I can. And that's thus, retiring at age 55 is a little ahead of schedule for most people. For me, it's a little behind. My dad was 52 when he passed away, and I was like, man, there's nothing guaranteed.
Totally.
And so I didn't want to plan a retirement at 68. It's like my grandfather retired at 64, and 2 months later was dead of a heart attack.
Oh my God.
And so when you have these things, time becomes a little more real to you. And so when I see something that I want to get after, I want to get after it today.
Yeah.
After school programs in Central America, it's like, what are you doing with that? I don't know. It was the opportunity that presented itself at the moment. It was an opportunity to make a difference, and I was in the right place at the right time to help. So when I like to get involved in something, I do like to get involved.
That's cool. I've heard a quote just recently. It said, you shouldn't be the person that tries to die, with the most, or that tries to attain the most. You should be the person that is content with the least and doesn't need anything, right? And I think it frees you up to then do the things that are important to you, that you care about. You're not trying to get on this, rat race to try and make all this money and do all these things, because at the end of the day, that stuff really isn't that important anyway, especially when you're dead and gone. This stuff doesn't mean anything, right?
It really doesn't. I mean, we all want to leave a legacy of something. We want to leave something for our kids to have a better life and do things like that. And but boy, it is freeing if you can be content with what you have. When you have excess, now you can use your personal resources. You don't have to ask somebody else for it to make a difference.
Absolutely.
That to me is very rewarding. And we're blessed, we're fortunate to be able to do that on a moderate scale. And, that's some of the things that I'm looking forward to doing in retirement, and continuing not just to put time, effort, energy, but resources into helping to solve problems.
Absolutely. Totally. And then, finally, if somebody wanted to get involved in some of the organizations that you're a part of, I know you do, there's a lot of mission trips, but, some of these organizations don't necessarily require that. How would you, and then you talked about, the Art Tatum Zone as, I think, another great company locally doing a lot of great work. How can people help get involved in some of these organizations?
The Art Tatum Zone is just doing incredible work here in our city. They're doing the hard work that everybody wishes somebody would do. And I think when somebody's doing that, they're worthy of your attention. And if it's something you're passionate about, I think they're worthy of your resources. And you can Google the Art Tatum Zone. There's ways that you can give and participate there. They're doing the hard work that our inner city needs. And they're doing the hard work around education, trying to rehabilitate homes, provide better living conditions for people and different things. So the Art Tatum Zone, Google them. They've got a website. They've got other things you can go to, and they're just doing great work. And you'll see the different areas that they're working in. And if it's something that clicks for you, I'd recommend hitting the donate button. I can tell you that the money's going to good places, and they're doing some good stuff. And they're just getting started. They're at that early stage, and great work can always use more resources thrown to it.
Totally.
Internationally, the things that I love to do, Great Commission of Latin America. They have websites. They're on Facebook. They're on Instagram. And you can go to the Great Commission of Latin America website, and then you can break it down. They have the after-school programs there. The medical clinics are there. And so whatever works for you that you want to be a part of. But
do you recommend that people go down to see some of the programs?
Well, this is philosophy for me.
Yeah.
If I'm interested in something and I'm thinking I want to get behind it and I want to put resources to it, I want to see it, feel it, touch it, smell it, understand it up close and personal. I'm an introvert. I like that close circle. I want to look the leaders in the eye, and I want to know, do I believe that I can trust them? That matters to me. I want to understand the why of what they're doing. And so for me, that's important. If I'm going to do something like that, I want to see it, feel it, touch it. I want to understand their motivation behind it. And then that frees me up to have confidence in what they're doing. And so there's great ways to do that through mission trips. You can do that through your local church. Great Commission of Latin America works with a lot of churches throughout our country. Regionally, there's a lot of churches here in the Northwest Ohio area that are going on mission trips with Great Commission of Latin America. Those opportunities are there. If they're not, feel free to reach out to me, and throw my email out there if you want. But I still take teams that are outside of Cedar Creek Church, no longer employed there, but there are medical teams, there are business opportunity teams, and different things that we're doing. I've got some inner city school that wants to reward its kids by getting them out of their community and having a chance to go see what life is like. And I'm
awesome.
all in on that opportunity. And so those are some things that I believe in. It changed my life. I think the world's a small place. I think connecting with that, I think it opens up our eyes to so many different things that we take for granted here. And I think also it opens our eyes to the opportunities that we can help create for other people to give them a step up to where they can become self-sufficient on their own as individuals. Sometimes you just need that one extra step. And so going down and participating in a mission team, first of all, doing it with a group of people, you get to really know them over a 8 to 10 day period. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
You get to see the hearts of people. You get to see them away from who they are as a person at their job and who they are as people. And I love that experience. And I'd recommend for everybody to do it once. I'll warn you that a few of you, when you go once,
You're going to get the bug.
you're going to get the bug, and it doesn't go away.
Yeah.
It's not for everybody. But for everybody, I think that goes down, they get an opportunity to experience something new. And I think Great Commission of Latin America does that better than anybody I've seen.
Very cool. Well, Bill, thank you so much for your time today, your leadership and wisdom. It's been great having you on the podcast.
Matt, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Well, guys, hopefully you enjoyed today's episode of Speed Mentorship. And hopefully this episode gave you just a couple different ideas and ways of being able to look at what success looks like in this world, and how you can take your talents and the things that you've been gifted with to make an impact on others in a remarkable way. And so with that, guys, if you found value in today's episode, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. And as always, thank you so much for being a part of our leadership community. Look forward to seeing you guys on the next one. Thanks.